Elvis being found alive was an identical price to that of Leicester City winning the Premier League last season, which just shows that anything can happen.
Elvis died?
Finding him alive was the same price, around a ridiculous amount. And the bookies, by the way, had to pay out around £25 million in joke bets, as it was considered. So with that, that's the only way I imagine kicking off our Premier League prediction clip, because let's be honest, we may predict, we may get them close, but you never really know what's going to happen, because both myself and Jason last season did not have Leicester anywhere near the top of the table, did we?
No, I think I had
them relegated.
I think I said, quote, I quote myself, I think maybe Manchester United could do it.
And be prepared for the same amount of verbal drivel coming out this season. So before we get into actually our predictions, and by the way, there's going to be plenty of Premier League clips talking about the teams that can cause upsets, talking about specific players. We already did one of the elite players who are coming in who are new signings, and I do make apologies for the editing that went on, because there was a few mistakes in there. A couple of Mendy's that weren't supposed to be there. A couple of, remember, you don't even watch my clips back. Go watch them.
Any Bentners?
There was a Matip that wasn't the real Matip. It was a different Matip.
Your tip?
But that's what happens. Matip was in it.
Me teep.
That's what happened. These players,
not my teep.
These players can't all have the same names.
His teep.
So, even though last season, it seems like the Leicester, obviously the bookies have learned their lesson, because they've slashed Leicester City's odds way down, but I don't think they've given them enough respect. Well, yeah, don't be surprised if people put on those far-fetched bets now because of what Leicester City have started for. Before we get into the actual predictions of how we think the table is going to go down, did you have this though?
No.
I just wanted to say, to call out the bookies, they have Leicester's chances of going down at a more realistic bet than them winning it again. I think that's slightly insulting. Realistically, with what the other teams have done to rebuild, you can't help but say that they could have a point, but still Leicester won the league last year. But they're 33-1 to repeat and 16-1 to go down.
You have some fun highlights. Fun highlights in there. So you get to all those points. Yeah. Before you get to those points, Sky Sports 2016-2017, they let the fans vote. You guys, technically, comment section type of people will vote for how they think the top 8 of the table will finish. This was their vote. In order. Wow. United, City, Ham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Pool, Ham West, and Hampton. A lot of hams in there. Now, why can't that be the Premier League table this year? It's not completely insane, because last year, if the fans voted and said one would be Leicester, we all would have laughed at them. But I think it's just my personal opinion. Why can't Leicester crack the top 4 this year? I think it's a BS. Like, any reasoning is BS. Vardy's still there. Mahrez is still there at the moment. And anything could happen in the season. I don't think it's crazy to say that Leicester makes it to the top 4. And Leicester's so gung-ho on the Champions League that they're just going to punt the Premier League. Even Ranieri doesn't believe he's going to go back-to-back.
Yes, I know. It's not that they can't do it again. It's what the other teams have done to prevent them from doing it again. Not just players-wise, Jason. It's a different kettle of fish when you have the coaches in.
Yeah, you're right.
We have realistic. That's the only reason I mean that. But I'm not. I think that's a little bit.
But I'm rooting.
I think that discredits Leicester. I still fancy Leicester to crack top 8 this year. I still fancy them to have a chance at doing so. I have my own predictions that obviously I'm going to outline, but.
Who's going to win? Just get to it. Everyone wants to know. Who's going to win?
You know, that's not marketing 101, because if we do that, then people might know.
Second?
No, but I don't want to do that either. I want to start the way up. I'm joking. Right, really quick. We're going to start with who I think is going to be in the top 4. Right? So coming in.
Breaking news.
Coming in at number 4 this season. Can I get a drum roll, please? Chelsea.
Top 4, not win.
I think Chelsea come in 4th. The sole reason that being said is because they have added an essential piece and a coach that is going to make them hard to beat, right? Because last season they were far too easily beat. Under Jose Mourinho's tenure, they were unenjoyable, but they were difficult to beat. He's brought in signings, 2 main signings, N'Golo Kante and Batshuayi. N'Golo Kante is undoubtedly one of the most underrated signings. People are like, it's N'Golo Kante, great season, coming in 32 million. That is pocket change to a team that obviously has a great deal of wealth, but also for how much people are talking about. You're talking about you're signing Sadio Mane for the same amount of money. Is that like N'Golo Kante's £2 million more?
Dude, preaching to the choir.
It's
I wish
insane.
I played.
Sissoko valued at $5 million less than a guy who's just covered every plane of grass. He's still running around England. The guy hasn't stopped since the season ended.
Yeah, but so value aside, Kante is a good signing. Is it enough to get them to the top, very tippity top
because
of the table?
I think the reason why is because they're going to be, again, they're hard to beat. Like, people are like, oh, well, they don't have the strikers to do so. Chelsea didn't win the Premier League by being an unbelievable goal-scoring team. They won the league very similar to what makes what makes Atletico Madrid hard to beat. Is that defensive lineup?
Terry and Cahill, if they still have legs, why not?
Yeah.
If they
start the way they did last year, it's a very hard hill to. The Premier League's a hard hill to climb either way. But when you start the way they did, leaking goals, not confident, like, it's hard to bounce back from that. I just think that last season was a wake-up call. And I think that finishing fourth is a realistic expectation, getting back into Champions League football. And that being said, Jay, they don't have European football. So they don't need to focus on anything. There's nothing there for them to be focused on.
FA Cup.
They're going to be solely focused on the Premier League. The only thing, as I mentioned, I would have liked to have seen them bring in maybe another centre-back. But other than that, the two signings that they brought in, I'm not judging signings based on substance and how many players they've brought in. This is still the Premier League winning team from 2 years ago. And they've still got the majority of those players there that helped guide them to that title. You get Eden Hazard back to playing decent. He seems to be playing a little bit better. Yeah, they played against Arsenal, and there were still some problems in their last pre-season game. If Diego Costa scores the way he did his first season, just gets enough goals, 20 plus, then you're going to be relying on that solid midfield. Fabregas, Kante, Matic, that's a hard midfield to break up with some talent in there either side. I just think they're going to be hard to beat, and I think they'll put a run together at home, and I think they'll finish fourth.
Good.
Do you agree?
3.
Oh, you're going to respect to me at 3?
No, your table's total bullshit. Go on, 3. I'm gonna put it up on like Facebook or something like that. Dude, your drum roll.
Arsenal.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think.
Does that get Wenger fired?
I think Wenger's leaving either way. So
he gets to leave.
I think there's plenty.
He gets to retire in peace. Is that a joke?
He gets to head out. I don't. By the way, before I say this, no discredit to Liverpool or Spurs. I think Liverpool may be 5th this year. And they might push for top 4. I think they've made good acquisitions. Still too much for me relying on the same transfers as they did before. Wijnaldum, Mane. I would have liked to see them bring in a bit of flair, a bit of crunch in the midfield that's really going to be dominant, that's got experience of the same stature as a Gundogan.
Yeah,
I would like to see that. And I like bringing in Matip. He's a good defender. I talked about what Matip is at this time. So, I think that they're in good stead. They've got some good players in there. I still fancy Coutinho to be one of the standout players in the Premier League season. But for the sole reason that Arsenal have, I still think, a better core. That's it. Even though Arsenal's core isn't the best, just a better, when fit, core. Because we saw Gabriel limp off. We don't know if he's going to be fit for the start of the season. There's a centre-back crisis going on there. I still think they've got a better core in that team. I still think with Mesut Ozil on his day and Giroud piping up with enough goals, they'll find a way to finish third, and they'll go through a great streak of form, but I just don't think they'll have enough to win it again.
I think with Giroud, it just seems from last year and the year before, when he catches fire, if it comes at the opportune time, because I think it's like 3 times a year.
Yeah.
He'll kind of heat check.
Yes, absolutely.
Heat check, and if those come at opportune times, which, of course, the rest of the team has to give him those opportune times, sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a very reasonable place for them to finish. I think it's painful if you're an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's
just it's a waiting game, and you're always there, but it's just a waiting game, and that causes deep suppressed bad memories for your kids.
Every meme that's possibly out there in the world of people just staring at things that aren't moving has been used on Arsenal for their activity in the transfer window.
Like the guy who can blow up shit with his mind and accept it.
Yes, very true. And
really
and the little stick figure that's just poking at something. Please, do something. Don't bust the blood vessel. And then they've got Xhaka coming in the middle of the park, who we got glimpses at. People have watched him pretty closely. He's another piece that could come in to potentially play the role that Mikel Arteta had in his prime, where he was a good player in the middle of the park, pulling the strings, good leader. And I think that they do have enough stability in there to finish in amidst the top 4. I think 3 and 4 are interchangeable. I think 3, 4, and 5 will be interchangeable. Even 6 and 7, who I imagine Tottenham and West Ham, there's going to be a lot of interchangeable spots.
There's a reasonable argument to say 1 through 7 are interchangeable.
Yes, but the main 2, which again, people will go mad. I understand you're going to go crazy in the comment section.
Why?
Because they just they want their teams, they want me to give them validation when I can only give validation to the teams that I think have done enough to strengthen based on last year.
There's two teams who should undoubtedly win the Premier League, and you're about to rattle them off in order.
Manchester United second and Man City in first.
Yeah.
Do you think that's him?
I do. I do think Jose Mourinho is a winner. Is it Jose or Jose? I'm sorry, Jose. Aldo.
Yeah, Jose.
It is Jose.
Yeah, it's Jose.
It is Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho, Jose Aldo, same as those. Okay.
Portuguese pronunciation.
So I think Jose Mourinho is a winner. And look, I know that's not analytical. I know that's not tactical. But I look what he did with Chelsea, and he knows how to win in the Premier League. And you can't say that right now for Pep Guardiola. This is his first stint in the Premier League. And you can't say that for Conte, first stint in the Premier League, correct, for Chelsea? And Wenger definitely doesn't know how to win.
We know that.
At least in the last 10 years. I'm not trying to be harsh to Arsenal fans. I think, of course, they have a chance to. But I'm going to let you take
So
this.
you think that Manchester United are going to win it?
No, I think it's going to be like 3 points that separate the two.
Because you're using that as validation for why Man United will break
Could,
second.
yes, well, it could be second.
Well, that's a very good point.
I just don't think Pep Guardiola has any excuse to not win.
Yeah.
Squad depth and talent from top to bottom. They are the best squad in the league. Pep Guardiola is obviously a talented manager who can bring the absolute best out of his players.
Yep.
He targeted his signings for specific reasons, which I'm going to also let you get into. And yeah, there's Jason's analysis.
But I think the point that you made there is that Jose Mourinho finishing second. It's not what Jose Mourinho wants. He set the expectation for Premier League. He's already stated it. And he's always been a very confident guy. And why not? He's had 2 terms at Chelsea, and in both terms he's won Premier League trophies. He's been plagued with his success since his Porto days and all the majestic work that he's managed to do. He's coming in to fix a team that had a core issue with leaders lacking, with goals, clearly, and he's made that a priority. Bringing in Mkhitaryan, Paul Pogba, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, along with the youth of Rashford, Lindegaard, and Martial.
It can run, in terms of just on paper, squad depth, they're pretty much up there with Manchester
I think they're up there with Manchester City. The only thing is with Manchester City is I think that looking at Manchester City's team last season, they had a better blueprint to build from than what Manchester United did.
That's true.
I think that Manchester City's blueprint there, Pellegrini messed up. He didn't bring in enough players to account for certain problem areas vis-a-vis poor leadership in centre defence, and they still don't have that. If they keep company fit for the majority of the season and they have him partner with Otamendi, they played Fernandinho at the back recently. So clearly he understands that that's a problem area. Right. They're talking about bringing in Stones. And if you keep company fit...
It's the only name I've heard more on the transfer market than Pogba. But John Stones, since the day I started following Premier League football, John Stones is on every effing transfer room. He's not moving!
All right, every time Stones is mentioned, I got to give you a kick in the Stones. From now on.
What the fuck? My kids. Just amputate. You could just amputate.
We'll build a big following around it. We'll get a GoFundMe account, and people will be like, all right, we need to stop talking about Stones because Jason's going to suffer severely.
You raise Paul Pogba's transfer fee, and you can kick me in the Stones as many times as you want.
Interesting.
No, not as many times. Just as many times as
Take that deal to Vegas, along with the guys that sit on Vegas Strip, and say, I'll pay. You can pay me to kick me in the nuts. Strange place, Vegas. Should visit. Either way, so again, that's my main issue, is the blueprint. Manchester United, I don't think, had the same winning mentality installed. Jose Mourinho can bring in all those players, but Manchester United's winning mentality left with the Fergie days. That was what used to get United through. Let's remember Fergie's last season in charge. That wasn't a good team by all means, but they had winners' mentality. They knew what it took to drag games that were amidst a horrible result, and he would bring them out, and he would make sure that they knew what it took to win, no matter what. Jose Mourinho has that same inner quality with his teams, but again, it would be a fantastic accomplishment to bring it around straight away. But Manchester City, on the cusp of winning last season, along with everyone else, just fell victim to a very passionate, very hard to beat, and kind of lack of quality throughout. But a good Leicester City team that went on and won. But the season before, gifted the Premier League and they won it. There's no excuse for Manchester City. They have the coach that they want. They have almost an immeasurable talent. Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, Sergio Aguero, Gundogan. They just have quality players throughout that team. Enough to win a Premier League trophy, no matter what. And I think that it's all going to come down to the man in charge. If Guardiola sets him up, he has to make adjustments because the similar style of football that won in La Liga won't completely work. He needs to make them more compact at the back. He needs to rely at times on different outlets because passing the ball around non-stop can only get you so far, as Arsenal have proven in the past. They've been great to watch, but haven't been able to get over the line. So you have to have a plan B.
La Liga or Bundesliga, or just both?
Both. As well. Bundesliga, he made
most
adjustments.
Recently it was Bundesliga.
Yeah, he made adjustments, but he's took the same style. Like, there was a bunch of clips we did where he likes to triangle in midfield, and he works well with them. But in the Premier League, it's so much more fast-paced. Like, I'm not saying it's better before people answer and go crazy. Doesn't mean it's better. It's just faster paced.
Please not open that one again.
So,
not you, the comment section.
Yeah, and I don't imagine he likes his defenders to be ball-playing defenders. It's not saying that Kompany's not good with the ball at his feet, but I wouldn't trust Otamendi starting my attacks the way that PK has done before and Boateng has done. These guys, I think, are in a different class than Otamendi or Kompany if he's still fit. So you might need to work something out where he maybe uses his fullbacks a little bit more. His midfielders like Gundogan are going to drop deep and try and pick the ball up. So it's going to be interesting to see how the system works. But I still think that with that manager, that blueprint, they're going to win.
We don't know. It's great. That's what's great about the Premier League overall is we don't know. We think we know. We can make educated guesses, logical predictions, sound arguments. But until that kickoff happens on the 13th, and then we get to do my favorite clip of the year, here's the overreaction to the first 2 weeks of the Premier League.
Of course.
They're all going to win it. Burnley's on top. They have 1 point. I think just for schnitz and giggles, West Ham to shake things up in the top 8. Nothing crazy,
Nothing
but
wrong with that.
just to shake things up. And I just don't want to count out that it's difficult to play on the road in the Premier League. I think a place like King Power Stadium might have enough energy now, after winning a title, to maybe cause the upset or two. I guess you can't even call them upsets, they're reigning champions. But enough to just kind of keep things slightly askew.
Yeah.
Slightly.
I think that the passion and the team unity that helped Leicester win the league is what I think that it was a blessing and a curse. I think it was a blessing for what we all witnessed, but I think it was a curse in the way that it shook everyone up. It woke everyone up in the Premier League. Like, we cannot rely on sole quality. We need managers that are going to play to our strengths, that are going to make us hard to beat. Every team in the Premier League in the top 5, 6 are going to try to have the most pristine home record. They're going to try to be harder to beat. Far too often last season, teams like Liverpool, United, City were losing the teams in the lower half of the Premier League, and that is a staple to the Premier League. But I think that this season you're going to see with managers like Mourinho and Guardiola, they're not going to be going away from home to play their same football at Stoke away. They're going to be going to try and grind out a 1-0. Or maybe leave it at 1-1 and be content with it, not be going and trying to play their same game and losing,
right? And
coming away kind of licking their wounds. But again, to try and touch on every team as much as I can. I'm doing a lot of touching here, fingers and a lot of pies, more pies than Jim Levenstein. I'm trying to figure out how I can appease and.
No, you're not supposed to.
I'm trying to figure out how I can touch on a lot of the teams that I think can still do well. West Ham, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Leicester, I think can all be interchangeable outside the top 4.
Yeah, of course.
And
I think that's totally fair.
want to make that prediction. I think Liverpool might get 5th, and then between Tottenham, West Ham, and Leicester, Stoke, Southampton.
I don't want to count out Klopp. Soft spot for Liverpool or not. It might not have been the most firework show of signings that he brought in. A lot of money on already Premier League players. Maybe Klopp knows something. Maybe he had one too many beers before he signed some of these players.
It looks like he would. And he's went back home to Germany. Not as glorious as the players that people like to see, the Hummels or the Goatsers, but he's...
Klopp, though?
Is she worthy?
Pretty worthy.
And by the way, to finish on a completely dull and irrelevant point, Stoke, if they go and finish 9th, will have done so for their 3rd consecutive Premier League season. How interesting is that? Either way, here's in the comment section below. What do you think the Premier League will look like at the end of the season? Early prediction clip, but it does kick off this weekend.
Saturday.
My God, I've been waiting for it. I can't wait. Jason, here's a little bit of trivia for you. Which team kicks off the Premier League season?
Every single year?
Yeah. You know it. It's not an actual team, it's just like the category for that team.
What do you mean the category for that
Like
team?
what team should start
The
every
Premier
year?
League champion.
Yes, Jason. That's why you're here. That's it. Leicester City.
I stuffed my face because it was free. And when I was finished, its size was not diminished.